In this video, we're going to look at the robots.txt file. In simple terms, it's a list of instructions to web crawlers and web robots telling them what they can and cannot do and which parts of your site they can access and which parts they can't. And most sites will have one. If I go over to Google, for example, and I just put in /robots.txt, I can pull up Google's robots.txt file. You can do this for your own sites. Just go to your home page and put /robots.txt, press return, and the robots.txt file will load. This is the one for Google. It's quite long. They don't have to be long. If I go to one of my sites and I put robots.txt, you can see that on my site it's only a single line. In fact, there probably isn't any point in having it on this site, but that's beside the point. Let's have a look and see what commands mean in the robots.txt file, and then we'll be able to go through and have a look and see what all of these lines actually do. The very first thing you might find is the hash. This is a symbol that allows you to type comments into your robots.txt file to explain maybe to another web developer what a particular line of code is doing. So that's the first thing you can have. Another thing you'll see on all robots.txt file is user agent followed by a colon. This is a command that you can specify a particular web crawler if you want to, or you can use a wildcard, which is an asterisk, and that basically means all web crawlers, you need to obey these rules. The next command is disallow. This is if you want to disallow a robot from a particular part of your site. If it's just like this, disallow colon, there isn't anything after that colon, then I'm not disallowing anything. If I wanted to disallow robots from my entire site, I could put in a /, and that will disallow them from the entire website. You can do this if you don't want your website appearing in the search engines. Let's take it one step further. We'll put disallow colon /, and then I could specify a folder. And this would mean do not go into this folder, do not index anything in that folder. Or I could specify a specific file that I don't want them to go into to access. Let's go back to this user agent, because at the moment that wildcard is basically talking to all web bots. I can specify individual ones. For example, the bot associated with Google is called Googlebot, and that means that any commands now will be applied to the whole of the Google services. So if I disallow them from these folders or files, then that only applies to Googlebot. If I only want to disallow Googlebot News, I could put in the name Googlebot News, and that's the name for that particular web robot. You can find the names for these bots online, and you just need to put them exactly as they're written. So that would disallow then. If I got rid of, let's put that in there like that, and I'm now telling Googlebot News, you're not allowed into this folder, you're not allowed to access that file. Now we've seen disallow, but what about allow? If I put in allow folder file, then what that's doing is it's overruling this disallow. So basically Google News is not allowed in this folder, but they are allowed in the folder to access this particular file and only this particular file. Another command you may see is a crawl delay, and this is often used to slow down the crawling of a website, but it's not an official standard. So what that means to different robots is dependent on how the robot sees it. So it's not something necessarily that will work the way you intend it to for all bots. Another command you might see is Sitemap, and that is followed by the full URL of the sitemap, like that. And that will then tell all the bots where the sitemap is, where they can go and get lists of all the files on the site. So those are the main controls you have for the bots that visit your website. But you do also, of course, have some control on a page-to-page basis on your site. So, for example, if you had a page that you didn't want spidered, then you could include the meta name robots tag and just put no index, and that would stop it from being indexed. And there's a list of different things you can have in there. You can have no index, no archive, do follow, and all sorts of things like that. So you can give specific information on a page-to-page basis as well. But that's not really what the purpose of this video is for. So let's go back to Google then with that information in our heads, and we'll have a quick look. So the very first thing we've got is a user agent, and it's the wildcard. So the commands that follow that apply to all web robots. So all web robots are not allowed to access google.com/search. Now you'll see that some of these lines have trailing slashes while other ones don't. The rule is if the URL you are trying to block has that trailing slash in it, then you need to include it. Up here we've got disallow google/search, but the web robots are allowed to go to google.com/search/about or /search/static or /search/how search works. So the bots can access these pages, but it can't generally access the search results there with the /search. You can go down here and you can see what's allowed and what's disallowed. So a lot of these are going to be folders. Down here we can see that we have an allow calendar /about. The fact that it's got allow calendar /about probably means that that calendar is being disallowed somewhere. It's right underneath. We're disallowing calendar, but we're allowing access to calendar about. If we keep scrolling down, we can see at the bottom here we've got specific advice or specific rules for individual bots. So Google's own ad bot is not allowed into this folder, but it can access this file. And then down here we have Twitter bot and also Facebook external hit bot, whatever that is. They are allowed to access google.com/imageres, which I'm assuming are the image results. We just have a quick look. Okay, the title of that page actually tells me it's Google image result, so that's right. So Twitter bot and Facebook's bot there can both access that. Again, because there is an allow here, that means that further up this page somewhere in the results, it's going to be disallowed. So there it is, it's disallowed, generally disallowed to all web bots, but there's an exception down here for Twitter and Facebook external hit bot. Finally, on here we can see that there is also a link to the Google Sitemap. So there's another command that we looked at earlier. So that is a brief overview of the robots.txt file and how to use it. It goes in the root folder of your website. As you can see here, that is directly in the root for Google. And you can access it on any of your sites just simply by typing /robots.txt at the end of your homepage domain name.